strong in people and strong in country. Time let me finish, but me talk now. I just said that my time is over. It's for the young people now. Take the country forward. I have established 4 institutions of government in my public service career, from fisheries up to renewable energy. I've seen everything. I'll talk to you about National Energy Authority quickly. Okay, I wrote the legislation and the policy and helped the young managing director to establish the authority in my capacity as the chairman. We have, an NEA is about 3 years, maybe 2 years, 9 months. It's a young organization, so a lot of skilling and upskilling is required. I had 3 to 4 hours notice, so I haven't written anything. I'm just going to speak off the cuff. Let me just get my notes. So, NEA is a regulator and an energy policy body. We got the function of, I fought really hard for policy, and we got policy as well, because there's no other organization that looks after renewable energy policy. And NEA is a renewable energy organization, as well as downstream petroleum activities. I'm not going to detail these things. I'm just going to talk very quickly. When I say downstream petroleum activities, it's basically having access to DMO gas and to provide gas to power generators, as gas as a source of energy for generating power, and other petroleum activities. The NEA is still working on the guidelines. So the issue of skilling of staff is extremely important. There are not a lot of electrical engineers that are in the NEA. All sorts of people have come into work in NEA, so skilling and upskilling is very important for the organization to go forward. I know from experience, when I established the Department of Petroleum and Energy, it took us a long time to, in terms of capacity building. NEA has no mandate to implement projects. This is a very important point I need to make. So don't think about joint venturing with NEA. NEA is only a regulator and facilitator of investments. I keep telling my staff, because I wrote the law and they need to understand this. They can't go around doing projects. That's what I was mandated by Prime Minister to do. Okay, Act and regulations. No, maybe I go to policy first. When we were doing the national energy policy, I was the chairman of the National Working Group. We did a lot of work on the national energy policy. It's quite detailed in some respects. But we needed to do subsector policies. Hydro, solar, geothermal, and wind are the priority subsector energy policies. So our policy division has just completed the subsector policies I mentioned. So with the subsector policies, the Act will be amended and new regulations. So the amendment of the Act, passage of regulations will be important. So it's a evolving organization, and renewable energy is a world issue, as you know. Climate change, we're not really involved in climate change, but projects that going to help climate change will be the responsibility in terms of facilitating major projects. Purari, for example. Purari, unfortunately, Purari is described in the national energy policies as the jewel of the energy sector. But unfortunately, Purari is tied up with hydrogen development. And the political leaders will have to decide if Purari should go on or not. It's a $6 billion US project, very big project. And there is market in Australia for that project. Licensing, we have licensed some projects, including the project I was involved in, a big project, which is a Gabut in Brown River. Before they brought me back to government, I was involved with that project. It's supplying power now, 54 megawatts hydro project. Of course, there are two big gas-based power projects, New Power and Dirio. Power industry is unique. If you don't get it right, your project will not happen. So you have to follow the procedures. You have to follow the procedures. And I advise that people must go to the regulatory divisions, technical regulation and economic division to get advice before you engage in a project. And feasibility studies are very important, similar to exploration in petroleum and mining. So we're getting applications that are incomplete because people are not going into the National Energy Authority and get good information. Okay, I want to talk to Europe for a moment. National Electrification Rollout Plan is a very important agenda of NEA. And we have to bring electricity access to all the households in the country, at least 70% of them by 2030, and 100% by renewable energy in 2050. So we haven't even started. There hasn't been any commitment from the government, and it's important. There should be funding of this very important program or plan, which will help most of our people that are living out in the rural areas. They are not connected to the grid and probably will never be connected to the grid. So we have to find smart solutions to bring electricity to people in the remotest parts of PNG. So I'm very concerned about this issue. PPL needs to step up, extend the grids and densify the grids so that those villages that are near the grids, they are the low-hanging fruit. They need to get power. We need to be serious about bringing power to the people. PPL has not started. NEA and some And the APEC countries, they're called PEPs, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, and US. They've been helping to bring access of power to rural areas and also to extend grids, do some distribution work, distribution lines, and bring power to the villages. How much time I have left, Mr. IC? I can't see the... Anyway, I'll keep going. I just list you some projects that are on the cards. I told you about Brown River Hydro. Finschhafen will be a big project. Kagul River, maybe Simbu River. You probably heard that Sino-Hydro has withdrawn, so Ramu 2 might not go ahead, so we've got to find other rivers. Otherwise, Leh is in trouble. So a lot of generation is required in Leh. At the moment, I mean, you know the story, I don't need to tell you. The last Petroleum and Energy Conference in Hilton, Richard Maru probably overstated what needs to be said, but Minister Richard Maru, but he gave a clear message about what PPL is not doing. I don't want to talk about PPL. They have their issues to address. So there are a lot of, let me say this, PNG is a country with so many rivers. PNG's total power capacity is about between 900 to 1,000 megawatts. The number of rivers we have, we can sell so much power overseas if we are organized. The market is too small. Domestic market is too small. So we'll have to find a way to sell power from hydros. And then we have geothermal. There's so many geothermal sites around the country. And the biggest probably is in West New Britain. It's probably as big as Purari, probably 6 to 7, 8 billion maybe project, US dollars. So the opportunities for development of renewable energy in PNG are huge, and we need investors. We desperately need investors. For a brief time in 2021, we were very keen on hydrogen, which would have been the opportunity to sell our energy. But unfortunately, people have grown cold feet, and that's not good. We can't warehouse. PNG can't afford to warehouse important projects, whether it's petroleum, gas, or renewable energy. PNG must keep moving. You cannot warehouse our resources. It has to be developed quickly. This is my message to the investors, as well as for the country. So I want to conclude by saying that the incentives for the renewable energy sector are not fully developed yet, but we are working on that. So it will be announced by Energy Minister. But it's extremely important that we have incentives in place. When I went to government and asked them for tax rates to come down from 40% to 30% for LNG, I couldn't convince them. I was with Samoy, we were able to convince them, we brought the tax rate down, and that's why we have the LNG project. PNG must understand that we are not as competitive as we think we are. You must provide the right incentives to bring in the investors. Thank you.